Network, earning the reputation of giving all the right ingredients, uninhibited in exposing the hard, cold facts about the Watchtower Society. And now, in Disney. Ride Michelle to the storm is high. Ride Michelle after the storm.
Where you been? You been ducked off for a minute. They don't know I've been depressed, but you know I'm in it. I never thought I was enough, so I was finished. Had to really talk to God and I had to handle life's hard times, hard stress, feeling a complete mess, really getting fed up. And anything they say don't matter, cause I got my bread up. I really got my faith up. Forgot the insecurities, I had to pick my head up. And all my friends gone, so I'm solo dolo. Getting through these long nights, screaming yellow. But I'm better now, thanks for checking in on me.
Well, hello everyone. We want to welcome you in. We want to welcome you into our program tonight, After the Storm, with our good friend DeLon and Gail. Hello, girls. How you doing tonight? Well, I'm going to bring you on right now. Let's see if we can't get you on here. There we go.
Hello, everybody.
Well, there you are.
Good to be back. Good to be back.
Yeah.
I love show Saturdays. Sometimes it's stressful, but it's fun. We're having we're having fun.
I mean, it can be a little stressful, especially as we get more people coming in. We're not quite CBS News here, but my goodness, I'm telling you.
We're not trained either at this.
But we're all getting better. Right. I mean, we're all getting better, right? I mean,
right?
We all learn from what we're doing, right. But I have to tell you, it's really getting big time. I mean it. I'm not just exaggerating, but more and more people right now are leaving the Watchtower. And this is where they come to talk in real time. So they're on here with us tonight. We have a number of people listening in on our telephone line. We have people here on our 6 Screens video suite. We got them on Facebook. We got them on a number of other platforms as well. We got them on about 7 to 10 different platforms on Facebook. So we got a big audience. So I'm going to disappear. And if you guys need me, I'm here. Okay? And then, Gail, if you need me for sharing that video, I'll be glad to help you. So just speak up if you need me, okay?
Okay, sure. Thank you, Rick.
Yep.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you, Rick.
Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of After the Storm with my lovely co-host, DeLon. How you doing, DeLon?
Hello, everybody. I'm doing amazing. How about you, Gail?
Good. When we were on the last time, it felt kind of rushed, and I just briefly mentioned something about your daughter releasing her video. That was pretty exciting. Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Yes, actually, I'll be more than happy to. Yes, my daughter is, and thank you, by the way, Gail. I appreciate that. My daughter, her name is Raya Michelle, Riah, and then Michelle, Michelle. She is my youngest baby. She's 24 years old. She gave me, I'm so proud of her. She's doing so amazing with her music. She gave me my first grandchild. He's 2 years old. Now I have a granddaughter from my other daughter. I'm so excited about that too. Had to throw that in there.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, so my daughter, she just recently released a new single. She has put out an entire album. I love her music, not just because I'm mom, but because her music is actually good. I tell her if it's up. But I love it because her music is clean, and anyone from children to teens can listen to her music. And also she sings a lot about overcoming like mental health and things like that. You know, I did raise my children as one of Jehovah's Witnesses too, but they never took to the religion. So she knows the ins and outs of the mental trauma, that we go through. But regardless of that, my baby is doing so well with her music. Her followers are growing on Instagram. Follow the Raya Michelle on Instagram when you get a chance, and on Facebook as well. Her name is Raya Michelle. And so, the song that comes on before After the Storm is actually my daughter's song, Raya Michelle.
Good. Yeah. Yeah, her music is very motivating. It's very inspirational too. They all have a message. And so I wanted you to
Thank
talk
you.
about it more because I felt like we just rushed through it last week. We had
Yeah,
so much
we did.
so much information to go over. But our last two shows have just been amazing. Can we talk about Keziah? Like, I kept seeing comments like
Ooh,
she is our hero. I had the privilege of doing a follow-up with her this week, and she's an amazing human
yes,
being. I mean, if you missed that episode, please go back and watch it. It was from 2 weeks ago. Keziah tells of her story, but one thing I loved about her is she didn't sound like a victim. You
right.
know, she's a very strong woman. Every time I hear her name,
Yes.
I imagine her on the bicycle riding 20 miles to get to the building of the what was it? The
It was where she was doing volunteer work.
volunteer work.
Yeah, she was doing
For the
volunteer
assembly
work
hall.
for
Thank
the
you
symbol.
for the
Yes,
assembly hall.
and
Yeah,
she rode that bike 20 miles
20
to get
miles.
there.
Yeah. She was very zealous. I mean, she was the epitome of what a
Yes.
single witness was because um, there was an article called "Do You Have the Gift of Singleness?" And they were trying to tone her zealousness down. It was just
Hmm.
an amazing story. If you missed it, please go back and watch it. You deserve to
Yes.
watch that one because, and then her closing statement, whew,
Oh,
that 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 got me. I mean, she felt emotional about it, but it was
she did.
real. It was raw.
Yes.
Her message was very powerful. So watch it till the very end. It was a very lively conversation, and I think we'll be friends for a while. I really like her. So thank you
Yes.
for coming on, Keziah.
Yes. Thank you, Kazaya.
Yes, yes, you're our hero.
Yes.
And so in the show before this one, which is part one, again we were kind of pressed for time on that one. We had so much material to go over the shunning case, the overturning of the shunning case in Belgium. And I felt a little rushed or whatever because, you know, certain things
Yeah.
happen. So I just
Mm-hmm.
thought how wonderful it would be to do a part two because I didn't get to show the video clips that I really wanted to show. And then we're going to get audience participation too. So did you get a chance to watch that one with Deasis?
I
Part
did.
one, which will be part one now.
I sure did. I was actually watching. I sure did. And that was
Good.
good. And Deace's mom, when I tell you she brought the fire,
She
she
did.
brought the fire. I mean, the knowledge, sorry you guys. We have a net problem here where I stay. We're close to the Gulf. I'm right at the Gulf. So I'm so sorry. So when you see me doing this, I'm not crazy. I'm literally shooing these nets so they don't go in my nose and my
It
mouth.
just
So
looks like
sorry
you're
about that.
fanning yourself.
Good, because I'm like, I keep trying to shoot these nets. They just keep coming. It's like two of them in here. They won't leave me alone. I guess they want to just
Yeah.
talk on the show tonight. But yeah, it was really a great show. And so many people got so many nuggets from that show
Mhm.
because you and DAs has dropped so much information on that show. And that's why it's even more so important even on this one that we do this part two because we just have so much information to share from each segment, maybe different topics, but same thing, same goal at the end of the night. But that was
Yeah.
powerful. And
Yeah.
I want to say too, if anyone missed the one with Gail and Diasis, you have to go back and watch it and just watch it when you have some time. You can kind of play it in bits if you need to, but I'm telling you, that was a powerful show. That one and the one with Kazaya. I mean, that was just
Mhm.
bam, bam, y'all. I mean, we would just hit bam, bam, for a whole month, if you will, because since it's 2 weeks, but it was really good.
Yeah. Brenda brought the heat, and
Yes.
she's a law student. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. I don't think she practices law, but she brought out some very good points. But and what we were the significance of the overturning of this case
Mm-hmm.
is just mind-boggling, and
Mm-hmm.
people have to understand. I'm hoping to get through all the clips tonight of the webinar that was put on a month after the ruling came down. But
Mm.
basically, just to summarize, there was a law for human rights an anti-discrimination law that was put into place in 2007. And then 2015, this court case comes before the court. And then in 2021, March of 2021, the ruling was in the favor of the plaintiff. And there was some monetary damages as well. Then a month later, a society named Bitter Winter put on a webinar with about 5 or 6 Bible scholars, or not Bible scholars, but scholars, like peer reviewing this court decision, and all of them said the same thing, like, this is a very strange case, and you know what this means for minority religions or whatever. But one thing we brought out in the previous show was this case, and the person that brought the case to court was somebody by the name of Patrick. And so I heard him say one time that he wouldn't be surprised, or he would like for it to go to the Supreme Court. Don't quote me on that. I saw him on another show where he said, you know, if we don't win, he's looking forward to going to the Supreme Court. So with the overturning of it, I don't know how he feels about that right now. Like I said, I tried to reach out to him. I haven't heard back. And, you know, we wish him well. If anything, it brought attention to this subject because it's so divisive. Like, for us being in the organization, we know the real deal of what
This session is no longer being recorded.
always happens. We know the real deal of what the repercussions of shunning and you know, shunning and disfellowshipping and shunning can bring. And it was just really peculiar.
The recording has started.
It was really peculiar for me to listen to these people who have absolutely no clue about this religion, you know, giving their thoughts on it. So we're going to go through some of the clips. It was right at 3 hours, and I'll put the link in my post again. I put the link in the previous. I usually do a wrap-up post on Facebook, and I post a link to this show, and then under that, I posted this one. I'll do it again. It took me a few days to get through it because it's maddening. You know, these people are getting their information from JW.org. And we all know that what is put on JW.org is different from what's in the Watchtower in the study edition. I've looked at articles that are presented to the public, and then how it's presented in the study edition. 2 different things. And so if you're basing your information off of JW.org, you may be misled, you know. And to me, it has to do with what Jimmy was talking about in his previous programming, the dumbing down, or, you know, they're telling you what they want you to believe, the dumbing down of society. And that was so many good points in the last show, because I was inactive for about 7 years. And when I came back, I mean, I would get the magazines, you know, by the time during that time it went digital, so I could pull it up on my phone, and I would read it, and I'm like, this seems kind of, I'm like, it was worded kind of strange, you know. And then they came out with the simplified edition of the Watchtower, the study edition, and I just thought, man, I was ready for the deeper things, you know, like in the old days, studying the was it the
Sunday lessons?
the big book, Babylon. Can somebody help me? What's the name of that? The big book. I mean, you know, like what we thought were the deeper things, at least, right? So to see how very simplified it was, we weren't really talking about prophecies anymore or anything, was very peculiar. I'm like, And then the videos came out. You know, not so much the cartoon videos. The videos started coming out. I'm like, oh, they seem to be lightening up a little bit, you know. And there was banter between the governing body elders. It was very strange when I came back in 2015, and then, you know, 2 years later, I was out. So, so yeah, the conclusion of this, reading the summary of it and everything, and just realizing the position it leaves us in, is, I said it in the other show, I'll say it again, that our strategy needs to change. And Brenda said, keep pounding that brick. The bricks are the people, right? We have seen the system fail us time and time and time again. And this is another instance, where the system failed but in their
Yes.
mind, it's not a failure because they're upholding the law. They're upholding the law, right? And so I was thinking today, and when we spoke earlier today, I was like, man, seems like the law is the Bible and the Bible is the law, right? This whole thing about separation between church and state, to me, feels like an illusion. That's just my personal opinion. That's not the opinion of Delon or Six Screens. That's my personal opinion. It, I think, is an illusion. The whole concept of separation between church and state, and this webinar is very revealing, showing that, because I didn't hear any humanity in
Was
it.
it in Belgium?
It's Belgium. This is the
Okay,
Belgium
they
case.
don't have the same. We have the Bill of Rights, and we have a system that was set up with Jefferson and Madison that guarantees freedom of religion, but also freedom from.
Hi, Pixie. Yeah, so they quote a lot from the European Court of Human Rights, which is similar to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which, Article 18, we quote a lot here, gives you freedom of religion. But the fascinating thing about it is the repercussions of the decision of this case.
Excuse me
Okay.
1 second,
Okay.
Dale. As we know,
Sure.
the phone goes off, and I know that's a real pain. It always goes off during your program, but
It's okay.
it goes for 6 hours, and then what happens is it does shut off. So we just got to get that back on. So just stay with us here.
Okay.
We'll get it right back on. Sorry that always happens. It's we'll give you a little extra time at the end.
Welcome into the live Six Screens conference calls. Thank you for joining in. To speak up and talk, press *6 on your telephone. When you are done talking, press *6 to mute yourself. Remember, when you are unmuted, your phone is a microphone and picks up on all noises in the background. We hope you enjoy the programs tonight. You will now be placed into the conference.
If you are, please enter. Thank you.
Yeah,
There
thank
are
you for just
11.
coming in and being patient, and we'll get you back on here very, very shortly.
Started.
Okay.
Okay, I think set to go.
Okay. So to Pixie's point, the interesting thing about the panel is some of them were from America. They're college professors. Some of them are from the UK. They're from all over the world, but they really were quoting the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And I just want to read Article 18, which says everyone has the right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. The right includes freedom to change his religion or belief, and freedom, either alone or in community with others, and in public or private, to manifest his religion or belief in teaching, practice, worship, and observance. So, and so there's a European version of that. This is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. But what about our inalienable rights? They really didn't talk too much. They didn't speak too much about the Bill of Rights, the United States Constitution, or whatever. It's just the repercussions that this court case would have on other religions. And that's what they seem to be protecting. So there were 5 people on the panel. They were giving their professional analysis or whatever. They're professors and their doctorates and all of that. So without further ado, let's get into the first clip. And so we'll share it here. Okay. So when you hit share, I'm supposed to see share screen. Yeah, share screen. I hit share file. So that's the one. Okay. Are you seeing? Can you see the screen, Delon?
Let's see what we got here. Okay, I see that you got the screen up there, Gail.
Okay.
Let me just hold on 1 second and see what we can see.
All
Now, when you hit that, I'm going to add it to the stream myself.
Okay.
There we go.
So I'm pretty much going to keep this up for the duration of the show because I have some, I'm going to be jumping around a bit. So instead of bringing it in and out, I'm just going to leave it up if that's okay. So bring it to the big screen. Okay. All right. So let's listen to the opening statements. It's probably going to be about 2 or 3 minutes. Oh, I hope we don't have an issue with the volume again. Can you hear?
Let me see if we got. I'm wondering why. Is your volume on?
Okay, so let me turn the computer volume on. Let's see. I forgot we had this issue last time. One moment, please. Can you hear that now?
No.
No.
I'm just wondering why we. In other words, is your computer volume on?
Yeah, I just turned it on.
All right, I'll tell you what to do. Let's see. Well, I'm just not sure why that's not working with volume.
I forgot we had this issue the last time.
All right, we'll just take a second here. We'll figure it out. We'll take a little time here, and I'm just going to figure out what's going on. It's on your. Now take a look on the YouTube itself. Is your volume up on that?
Yeah, it's on high. My computer volume is up. My microphone is up.
All right.
All right. So because this is so important, I may send it to you, Rick.
Yeah, send me the link. Send me the link, and I'll get it. So just send me the link on jwworldnews@gmail.com.
Yeah, I think I forgot we had this issue the last time. I preempted it, but I would like for the audience to hear.
Oh, Gail, I was going to ask you just real quick. I'm sorry to interrupt. This may not be the case, but I was going to ask you. You're on your computer, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And I know all some computers are a little different, shall I say, the settings, but where the speaker little icon is in the bottom right-hand corner of your computer?
Yeah.
What is that on right there?
It's on 92. It's well, okay,
I mean, what
hold
does
on.
it say? I mean, does it say
headphone, headset, earphone?
Maybe if you switch it around for right now to, I don't know what your other option is. You only have one option?
Yeah, okay. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
You can hear me? Okay, let's try this.
Because now I'm learning Italian, so
now I can hear it.
You hear it now?
Yes.
Okay, so that's it. I don't need my headphones then. Thank you. Okay.
Well, there you go. We got a technician out there with Delon. Thank you, Delon. That was good. You figured that out. Yeah, the headphones was goofing that up. So you're all set now. Yeah.
We're all set. Okay, here we go.
Come closer to your phone, Gail, so we can hear you.
Okay.
Good morning, good afternoon. For some of us, it's almost evening. So today we have organized an event by the Chesnor and the Human Rights Without Frontiers, a joint event on Jehovah's Witnesses. And the title, as you have seen, is Shunning and Religious Liberty. And the purpose of this meeting is to discuss further the unprecedented, I would say, the Ghent court decision on shunning by the members of the Jehovah's Witnesses against the help me with the word. I lost the word because now I'm learning Italian, so my English is even worse than it was before. Okay, so I believe because today we have a long list of participants, and And the participants will give more detail and better analysis than I will on why the specific court decision is so special and what is so problematic about it. So today we have quite a long list of speakers.
So the first thing she says is it's problematic. The decision was problematic, right? So let us skip to the first presenter. He is Dr. James Richardson. And this slide deck, in the video, he offered to send it out if you wanted it. And I emailed him and he sent it to me. Before he sent it to me, he asked me if I was a scholar or a member. I guess a member of Chesner, I don't know. And before he sent me the slides before I answered him, but I let him know I'm not a member, I'm not a scholar, I'm a former Jehovah's Witness. And he's like, oh, okay, well, good luck to you. That was his thing. Good luck with it. So let me fast forward here to about 1420, where he is in the middle of presenting the information.
If this decision is not overturned and the courts seek to interfere in the internal affairs of the organization. So with that, I will close and thank you for the opportunity to talk about this very important case.
So he goes through all the slides, the history of this law, and the articles that was used to make the final judgment. Can you hear me okay, Delon? Because I'm on, I don't know, I guess I'm on the microphone. Okay.
I can hear you really good.
Yeah. So the focus was on appealing it, overturning this case, and is it an attempt to manage the internal affairs of the religious group? And it's important to know, if you don't remember who Chesner is, CESNUR, Chesner, I said Cessner the last time. It's the Center for Studies on New Religions, and it was founded by Massimo Intervene in Rome, in Italy. And they study the internal network they study new religious movements, okay? So they consider it a new religious movement, a minority group, or whatever. But what I still have yet to find is the judge who ruled on this case. She was going by the United Court Human Rights Law, right? The anti-discrimination law, right? And then they step in a month later to say, oh, no, this is problematic. We're attempting to manage the affairs. And they ask it in a question form. And it's interesting, like, no one gives their personal opinion, maybe just a tad bit, calling it strange. And but again, the teachings, they're going on the surface level. And we know on a deeper level what it means to be a part of this religion. They also had a lot of positive comments in the chat. It was a live video in the chat, who were Jehovah's Witnesses, and like, yeah, that's an accurate representation, blah, 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 So let's skip here to the 28-minute mark. Let's see, is it right at 28? So now this is
family members. They also say, and I quote this from their website, in the immediate household, although the religious ties the expelled or disassociated person had with is family change, blood ties remain. The marriage, relationship, and normal family affections and dealings continue. End of the quotations.
So that quote right there that he's reading is problematic, because we know what the society, and we heard the lawyer in the Canadian Supreme Court read the same thing too, right? And the person who got his case to the Supreme Court lost because, in part, because of how the JW lawyer presented it, right? And so what they're talking about, what the witnesses are what Watchtower is referring to, where normal family relationships don't change, is between a husband and wife. That's more specific. But Watchtower wasn't that specific when they wrote that article. So they're thinking it's between fathers and mothers and daughters and cousins and all of that, and it's only the spiritual aspect of the relationship that changes. And so that's what this group does not understand. And you know, just to be clear on, you know, we're using this video under the protection of the copyright law for discussion and criticism or whatever. I forgot to start that in the beginning. So anyway, so this guy, let me let him continue. He may talk for about another 2 minutes, okay? And then we'll be back.
In other words, normal family affection and association continues despite the testimonies of some opponents. About the verdict now. The court totally disregarded the arguments of the Congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses, and on the 16th of March, condemned the legal entity to the payment of a fine estimated, as it was said before already, 96,000 euros on the grounds of discrimination, incitement to hatred. The congregation has appealed the court decision. What the whole case in Ghent is all about is an attempt to oblige witnesses to change their Bible-based religious practices. This is a dangerous verdict, as it breaches the autonomy of religions as guaranteed by the Belgian Constitution and by the European Court of Human Rights. If this decision happened not to be overturned, its consequences will be incalculable in Belgium and abroad. It would have repercussions on other religious communities where conversion, apostasy, exclusion are followed by family and social ostracization, or sometimes worse. It would also open the door to the prosecution of the Catholic Church in Belgium and any other country, as their priests are now forbidden from blessing same-sex couples and could be accused on the basis of such anti-discrimination law of discriminating against homosexuals. Thank you very much for your attention.
Okay. Any thoughts on that, Delon?
Well,
He said it breaches the autonomy of the...
Yes, he did. Laid it right out there. He did.
Right out the
Wow.
gate.
Right.
Yeah, so they don't go into, I mean, they present the plaintiff as, I don't know, it feels like they're trying to paint this case as a highly emotional case, and, you know, everybody got caught up in the emotion of it, but they weren't looking at the specifics of it, right?
Mm-hmm. The details, so they say.
The details of it, but his, this is Willie, his, and he refers to the Belgian, did he say the Belgian Constitution? So they're pretty much the same. It's pretty much the same, the separation between church and state, no matter where you go. Mm-hmm. And so, to me, it was pretty one-sided, as you can see. And this discussion is open to the audience tonight. Does anybody have any thoughts on what they're hearing so far? Did you get a chance to watch this? Let's open the phone lines. Come on in.
Oh yeah, don't forget to press *6 to unmute yourselves, by the way. And Gail, just while we wait on someone to come in, definitely, you know, just cut me off. I wanted to share something with you. You may have seen this. Oh, okay. I think someone's here.
Hi. And yes, I have watched it. I've watched the whole thing. I've even made a comment because at the beginning, one of those people on the panel sneezed. And so my comment was about how when I was a Jehovah's Witness, I wasn't allowed to say bless you, but I told him bless you. So I just wanted people that watch this to get a grasp of what it's like being a Jehovah's Witness and how micromanaged you are. But yes, I watched this whole thing, and they're really not answering the true subject that they bring up. It's like they bring up a question, but they give a different answer to really what the question is. Have you noticed that, Gail?
Yes, I did notice that. There were a lot of thought-provoking questions.
Okay.
I noticed it was the same style as Watchtower. Thought-provoking, but really didn't answer the question. You know, it's like open to interpretation. I noticed that.
Yeah. So you were mentioning that other group. So the person that put this together has founded both of them, I believe. Musmo, I forget how to say his name. He's Italian. And I've read articles about even him being interviewed. And he was quite the whiz kid as a child. Very, very intelligent. I wouldn't be surprised if he's like off the charts, you know, genius or something. But he represents all kinds of cults. The Watchtower is not the only one.
Are you referring to Massimo, the founder?
Yep.
Yeah.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And he himself is part of a group where he gets to be Dracula, and it's pretty intriguing. It's you know it's like a club or something, but there's pictures of him as dressed up as Dracula, and you can tell he's having a good time with it. So he's very fun. But I also remember him talking about shunning before this came out, even before the trial of this. I remember him saying, you know, ignoring somebody is really not against the law. And I thought that was just so beside the point, because ignoring is very different than ostracizing. Ostracism is something that people cannot live by. You can't live without being part of culture.
The wordplay that they use is very interesting, isn't it? And we can pick it out because we were trained with those words, you know, your choice of words. Very good point. Thank you very much for that, which leads me into the next clip.
Sure.
Where the next speaker talks about history of communication. Let's move over to 107. 107. Oh, which market is it? This speaker is by the. Okay, hold on.
The lawful rights of professional associations to expel a member.
Okay, let's go back a little
Thank
bit.
you. Your pronunciation was perfect.
Okay.
Excommunication and shunning is a fact of modern day life. Professional associations such as a bar or medical association routinely expel members who fail to meet minimum practice standards. Then the announcements of expulsion will be made widely known to members of the profession, but also to the public. And of course, the effect of being expelled as a lawyer or as a doctor can be profound and lifelong. But no one would question the lawful right of professional associations to expel a member, or the lawful right of members to cease having any dealings with the expelled individuals. It is also a fact of life in many families, whether they are religious or non-religious, that the relationship may have broken down to the extent that immediate and extended family choose to no longer speak or associate with one another. The same can be said about neighbors, workmates, and so on. The reasons they choose.
So he makes it sound like it's a choice, where, you know, it's a fact of life. You know, people choose to stop speaking to each other, you know, family dynamics. It's interesting what one of the speakers says towards the end. Her name is Holly, but that just is not true. Is it a personal choice to stop speaking to someone, Delon? Or anybody in the audience? Is it a personal choice?
Yeah, one thing I will say is when he was speaking, I'm like the difference between me, let's say you're my family, and I choose to stop speaking to you. It's typically because we've had some type of disagreement or, one of us has done something, but I don't just, the average person, well, not anyone I know, just stop just speaking to someone just because. There's generally a reason, but it's not because an overall religion or something said that I shouldn't do that. Does that make sense? It's typically because maybe we've had some type of falling out. You've done something that could possibly harm me or affect me in some type of way. That's a big difference versus he's just making it sound like that's just normal. That's not normal.
Well, he said, ooh, where am I echoing? He said a statement is made from the stage that person X is no longer one of the witnesses. But then they are of the belief that it's a personal choice. It's excommunication is a fact of life. Attorneys are disbarred, doctors lose their license or whatever. But the shunning, if you don't want to speak to that person anymore because of what you think they did, that's a personal choice. That's not what happened in this conversation. You were told to speak to that person.
Exactly.
Person, they refer to it as a loving act or whatever, but that person no longer has Jehovah's Holy Spirit. But none of these speakers talk about the emotional consequence of it and how it leads to suicide. They're talking about, well, the religion has the right to do that, just as any other, the NFL can kick somebody out, the American Bar Association can kick a lawyer out. They can do it too, because it's their it's their arrangement. It's the religion's arrangement. But they don't realize that the organization, you are directed by the organization not to speak. So when that decision is, when that is read from the stage, you get your cue. You know exactly, right? The person sitting next to me was so funny when she walked in. Hey, how you doing? And I'm like, poker face. And at the very end, they made the announcement, and she's like, and I came in with, talking to everybody and just acting normal. The announcement was made, and I left, and everybody was like,
"Yep, like it was a funeral."
It's a cue. The announcement is a cue, and then you are reinstated. The reinstatement is a cue that you can now start talking to the person. What I have a problem with is everybody, not speaking to you, and then all of a sudden the announcement is made. You got your cue, and all the love and the, hey, how you doing? Oh, we missed you, and all that, all the platitudes resume. That's fake to me. I didn't want that. I didn't want that. So it's a cue. It's not a fact of life for this religion. It's a detrimental announcement, excommunication.
Exactly.
We are losing time, but I had 109:27 written down for a reason.
You go to the bathroom, and people can talk to you then. This when they would do the song. By the time you get back to your seat and then they make the announcement, it's all over. It is not a personal choice.
It's not. I forgot what he says here, but
basic common-sense. But does the same hold true concerning the decision of a religion to expel an adherent, and in turn for adherents to exercise their religious conscience to shun that person? Actually, all the courts of appeal and Supreme Court decisions that have addressed this issue have universally held the rights of the religion to expel and shun the former adherents. But
there you go.
Is he saying demons?
It sounded like he's saying demons. He's saying adherence.
Oh.
Adherence. I know. Okay. Is he saying demons? Like, what?
I'm like, wow.
I'm glad you brought that up. But yeah. So see, why are we looking to the system, right? So we've got to change our strategy. Just because we're doing a video on this, please feel free to do one yourself. The more people that speak about the overturning of this case, the better. So don't let this deter you. If you know, speak up about it. But yeah, they always, like he says, rule in favor of the religion. Okay, so next clip is 124, and man, time flies, right? Oh my goodness, when you're having fun. All right, let's see what he says right here. I had it written down for a reason. Same guy, Willie.
So by obeying those precepts in their daily lives, adherents are simply manifesting their freedom of religion. On the other hand, freedom of religion guarantees to the person the right to abandon those same precepts. What it does not guarantee, though, is the right to dissent within a religious body. So where does that leave us? The Ghent decision is clearly wrong and is in serious violation of the Belgian Constitution and the European Convention on Human Rights, and needs to be urgently reversed. I thank you for your attention.
I want to say this just real quick because I don't want to forget, but in the chat, Gabby said the finest brainwashing hypnotism ever devised.
Was this? Yeah. It took me about 3 times to watch. I couldn't watch the whole thing because I'm like, they only have a surface knowledge of it. And one of the panelists realizes, you know, she acknowledged that, but they're looking at it from the 20,000-foot view. They're not looking at it from the people on the ground.
Yes.
Have to
They didn't live it.
through this and live it. Exactly. Exactly. So, in fact, let's go ahead and move on to her. Her name is Holly. Let's see what Holly has to say while we're wrapping up here. She was interesting.
Differences there. So, a few things. I'll state the obvious. Everybody here knows that I reject the word cult as a pejorative, but I am very aware that the Jehovah's Witnesses have a distinct worldview. They are candid about this, and they are candid about their commitment to maintaining it. I happen to believe that one of the main tasks in creating a fair global society is learning how to accommodate alternative points of views and belief. I don't think that belief can be changed by legal dictate, and I think that real pluralism is much, much harder than a sort of shallow, you know, let's be multicultural understanding of things, you know.
So she said it. It can't be changed by legal dictate. So it's up to us to change it, right? Up to us to change it. I made the plea in the previous show to not comply. Don't comply with the shunning, because not to get too biblical or anything, but if you go back and you read the example in the Bible about the guy on the side of the road and who helped him and who didn't help him, look at that. You know, read about the prodigal son, how his father welcomed him back home with open arms. Well, Watchtower says they do the same thing too, but you got to go through the elders for the father to accept you. You read the Bible, that scriptures are quoted from the Bible, read the context. There's no buts, but they insert themselves in there and say, well, you have to come through us. And according to them, the religion has the right to do so. So therefore, it's an institution. Right? So, yeah, she was interesting. Let's move on here. Perfect.
And Gail, I'll add this, what I was reading earlier, it said one count finds a whopping 59 U.S. Supreme Court rulings concerning JW practices. Perhaps no religious sect has had a greater impact relative to its size on expanding the First Amendment free exercise of religion. And that was an opinion, but that is crazy. That's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, they're at the forefront of this freedom of religion. They are definitely the forerunners of that, if you will.
Yes.
So I've got 3 more clips and then we'll wrap up.
Talk about disfellowshipping, especially in terms of George's presentation. We're talking about the best practices, which I believe hold true most of the time, but I want us to also be open to the idea that things are sometimes worse on the ground. I do not believe that we can necessarily attribute those instances to the JW organization, and I think that we have to really build in the possibility that what we're talking about is extreme family dysfunction. But it's to say that there are instances where estrangement is severe and very painful, and we need to take those situations seriously. I do not think it is possible for the government to come in and remedy those situations.
Okay. So she, kind of acknowledges that it can be worse on the ground, meaning in the religion, and but then she says that some of it may be attributed to family dysfunction. Where did the family dysfunction originate? What is at the root of the family dysfunction? Especially if this religion is generational. Do you see what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, it poses, a great question to even get all of us, many of us know, but those that are new to that religion, it poses a great thought-provoking question to, help you to hopefully to open your eyes and just think about this religion as a whole when you do think about the shunning and the deep impact that it has. Someone did want to know, Gail, I don't have it expanded on my computer, so I'm sorry I can't see the name of the video. I know it says shunning and the anti-cult something, I'm sorry, but someone did want to know the name of the video that you have going. I just want to make sure I let you know that.
JEHOVAH'S Witnesses, shunning, and religious the Ghent court decision, and it's by Peter Winter. Okay. So she acknowledges, that of course it could be, there could be some suffering, but no one wants to say the word. People end up being suicidal, and people have been successful by dying by suicide. They've been successful at it, but they kind of just go around it, make it sound professional and clean, and it can be emotional. If you lose your doctor's license or you can't practice law anymore, it's emotional. It could be a little distressing, but she was really trying to find the balance, but they're not balance the Bible and the law. And
that's right.
Balance the Bible and the law, right? So, and she also went on to say, I don't have the marker for this, but she also is of the opinion that that activists that speak out is a minority. That she's of the belief it's only a handful of people that leave that feel this way. She's been in discussion rooms or whatever where people are expressing their experiences or whatever, but it's only a handful of people like us that are speaking up. She further goes on to say that she also notices that it's people who have started a business out of activism. They've become counselors. They make it a monetary thing. So it really was tough. They've monetized what it means to be a former Jehovah's Witness by some writing books, having programs or whatever. But here on the 6 screens, we do not get paid. Rick talks about it all the time. Don't send him your money. He's never taken a dime in 17 years. We don't get paid for what we're doing. None of us do. We're doing it out of the kindness of our heart, because when we were going through the questioning period, the questioning phase, when we notice something is not quite right? Like right now, in the environment that we're living in right now, a lot of people are waking up, something's not quite right, and they start researching. So for many of us, it happened before this whole, the thing with the pandemic, what's happening in the world right now. But a lot of people are waking up and they're questioning, that seems off. That seems off.
Mm-hmm.
It is my hope that those who are still part of this organization, you realize how legalistic it is. If you kind of realize and start questioning, something feels off, something's not quite right, follow that, do your research, and you'll find the answer. And what's interesting is, on our show, we're not telling you what to believe. We're not telling you you should leave or whatever. We're presenting the facts, because when you and I and people in our audience were going through that dissenting phase, because they acknowledge that religion is put in place to prevent dissent. They admitted that, right? When we were going through that, oh gosh, I lost my we would have loved to see an example of someone who left successfully and was successful at it. I didn't find this community or anything, or even Ray Franz's book, until after I made the decision to not go back. I didn't know about, these videos that were out there, people that are speaking up. Can you imagine? Because it almost sounds like, the people who are speaking up, we're the problem. Just be quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Just go. You hear it all the time. Why can't you just go on with your life? So for people like this, people who are outspoken like us are a problem that creates this environment. They have to do this discussion and panel and break down the religion because people are speaking up. Well, first of all, that's our right. Second of all, we're doing it out of love because people are simply not aware. And when you wake up and you see things for what they are, you can't unsee it. You can't unsee it, right? So, her comment was very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at the last clip. The last panelist, 252. Her name is Eileen. Let's start here.
What they point out that God is the final judge, not them, which they do in this particular Watchtower. And when I was asked to do this, I asked one of my Jehovah's Witnesses friends, who I felt I knew well enough that she wouldn't be offended, how, when you're shunning and people are suffering, do you tie that up with the idea of love? And Jesus' commandment, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. And she explained to me what you can find on the website, that shunning is love for God. It's love for the offender. It's love for the victims. It's love for the Jehovah's Witnesses. And it's love for non-Jehovah's Witnesses. Shunning is a bit of love. Now, if that love can be extended in some ways, rather like the way in which, in the May 2019 Watchtower pamphlet explained about the need for caring, and the way that it introduced things that haven't perhaps been introduced before, like having a woman.
So, what was I going to say here about it being love? Those of us who are former members of this organization know that it's not love. It can't be. And she posed a very good question, but that's what they do. Like Linda said, they ask the question, but they really don't answer it. How do you square it up? And she accepted the answer that it's love for Jehovah, and it's love for the former members, and it's love for non-Jehovah's Witnesses. And she just goes on. She accepted that answer and didn't drill a little deeper and say, no, that's not love. I thought that was interesting, that I don't know.
Almost kind of like how we just accepted what we were taught at the Kingdom Hall. It's kind of like, okay, take the punches and bounce back and just roll with it. But it's not acceptable. It's not acceptable under no circumstances.
Yeah.
And that's just what we were taught. What they still practice down to this very day.
Yeah, she was referring to something in the 2019 Watchtower, but she accepted the answer that it was love for her neighbor and it was love for, and she didn't question it anymore. What I read in the Bible that it's not love, and we know that it's not love. It takes a lot of bravery to speak up about this, to be on the front lines. Yes, not everybody is, doing activism. Everybody's activism looks different. Looks very different. Some write books, some do movies, some do shows, some do comedy, some are on podcasts like you and I are. It looks very different, but we're speaking up because clearly, again, the system, the court, it's in favor of, the system is in favor of the religion. They don't want to get involved in the internal affairs of a religion. So what do you do when you realize something is not quite right with this? This isn't love, and the dysfunction that comes with it allows you to accept it. And I don't know. I feel like I'm out of words sometimes because
no, it's true.
This isn't love.
It is not love at all. I'm sorry, it's not love. I mean, I know this may be just a small example, but I think about, when my mom, when I was little, and we went to someone's home for the first time that I didn't know, excuse me. I mean, what do your parents always teach you to do? To speak, to be kind, to be polite, right? Well, why is it that they can dictate if I'm repentant or not? To me, that in itself should be illegal. You don't get a chance to dictate if I'm repentant for anything. I don't even have to tell you that I'm sorry just because I went and had sex 5 times with the same guy, whoever I was having sex with. I don't have to come directly to you and tell you that I'm sorry. I don't even have to say those words. It doesn't mean that I'm not repentant in my heart. So who gives them the right to dictate and tell me, or any of us for that matter, that I am not repentant? That in itself should be illegal. I mean, that starts the whole groundwork. They make the decision if you're repentant or not. Doesn't make sense. Sorry.
They're saying it is right because it is their religion. Now, what you have to ask yourself is, how does this align with the Bible? They make a statement and then they have scripture after it. And a lot of times the scripture is there because one word out of the scripture matches a scripture in the sentence. But if you read the whole Bible in context, it doesn't match, right? So, yeah, okay, Jehovah's Witnesses have the right to excommunicate. They have the right to shun people because it's part of their religious structure. It's part of their edict. It's part of their, in the shepherd of the, if you don't know, there's an elder's book called Shepherd the Flock of God that we as regular members of Jehovah's Witnesses didn't have. We weren't qualified enough to see those books. And then on up the line, there's different books for different levels. But, so yeah, it is their religion and it is their right. The question we leave with you is, do you want to be aligned with that?
That's right.
How does that align with your sovereignty as a person? Do you agree with treating someone like that? And by being part of that religion, we were saying, yeah, we agree with that. Then can you separate your belief system in a supreme, in a source that's bigger than you, in God? Can you separate that from the edicts of the religion? Because right now it's muddied. It's, the beliefs of the religion is the beliefs of God because they got it from God. But when you start researching it and going deeper and, by
getting the court, getting this panel involved, and all these cases that they fight so hard against, it starts unraveling at the seams. You start seeing the true picture of what it really is. Is this a religion that is based on the belief of God, right? Or the man-made teachings of man? What is it? And so, those are questions that you have to ask yourself, and do your own research. There's a lot of information out there. Everybody wakes up for different reasons, right? Everybody wakes up for theological reasons, or the way they were treated, or, and for me personally, my conscience, when I realized what was going on, because the article says that you are, and they reiterated in this webinar, that if the person is not repentant, well, a lot of times that's not the truth of what goes on behind closed doors. You weren't there. Keep in mind that you were not part of the judicial committee. You weren't there. So right there, that's the beginning of the lie. And so when you realize that, and start doing your research, you see it for what it is. And if you research and you're okay with what you're aligned with, good for you. But if you research and you find out that this is a problem for my fellow man, for my neighbor, and I don't want to have anything to do with this that's going to cause mental, emotional, physical harm to my fellow brother and sister, I don't want to have anything to do with that. That's a different level of courage. And so we want to open it up to the audience. What did you think of the information presented tonight? Did I miss anything? Come on in, please. We are right at the hour mark.
Hello.
Yes.
Yes. Can I make a comment?
Yes, please.
Okay. How you ladies doing? My name is Christopher. I grew up a Jehovah's Witness. I was one of the ones that had a larger family within the congregation. So I had uncles that were traveling overseers, elders, ministerial servants, the various things. I'm not baptized. I didn't go to Bethel or anything like that. I want to make a comment about what you guys said about disfellowshipping and love. I try not to talk to rank and file JW members because they're so pre-programmed mentally. I like to talk to elders. And here's a scenario, some questions I pose to elders. They have a facade of love, but it's like behind the scenes is really kind of false. And they want to make the appearance that the congregation is clean, and this is where I'm going to lead to the disfellowshipping. So I pose this to an elder. I said, let me ask you a question. I said, if you go into any religious faith, Baptist, Methodist, Mormon, and you go in there, first thing in with the service, and let's say the Jehovah's Witness, and you say, listen, this is from Jehovah, and of course they'll believe that. And you say, I need everybody to be honest. Everybody who has stolen something, raise your hand. Everybody who's committed fornication, raise your hand. Everybody who's committed adultery or anything sinful. What do you think at the end of that hand-raising session, how many people would not have their hands up? So everything is hidden unless someone brings it to the elder's attention. Then they say, oh, well, we need to talk to you, brother or sister, about something that we heard. But the congregation wants to have an appearance of cleanliness, but like the scripture says, they prove false to the whole power of it. And they are people of the world. And I tell most JWs, I say, don't say worldly, because the first thing, we grew up, you say, oh, that person is worldly. We all are of the world. I say secular. So you have to kind of stop their rhetoric whenever they're talking. We are all worldly. We all sin. So there's no one in your congregation, in the church 5 miles down the street, that doesn't go through the same battles every day and live in that sinful nature. Now, here's another thing. When I say they have a facade of love, let's say a person is studying. Now, the first thing they'll do, and they'll say, listen, brother, you're going to come along, you're going to study the book. Now, on the B side, there's a person who's been disfellowshipped or on private reproof. They'll tell that person and their family members, don't have any communication with them. You might can answer some questions. You might not. You have to leave after the service. But here on the A side, you have a person that they're studying with who is still in the world, as they say, and still doing the same things, but they're studying. But they will be kinder and gentler and show that person more of this, and these are my air quotes, love than the person who's disfellowshipped, whom that should be the person that you're trying to bring back into the flock. But yet and still, they cast that person aside and they take the person that's still of the world and bring him in.
Precisely. Thank you, Christopher. Thank you for speaking up. I've heard you comment before on Apostle Baby Show, and I've always wanted to talk to you. So I'm so privileged that you spoke up tonight. Thank you very much. Very good points.
Thank you. I just kind of clicked on. I didn't know which show was going to be on, and luckily enough, I got you guys.
Yeah, and Christopher, you always have great points. I always you always have great takeaways that I can learn from, and we all can, that helps in our approach when we do run into the witnesses. So thank you for always sharing those great nuggets that you share.
Oh, thank you. Look, don't make me blush or anything.
You go ahead. You have that right to do that.
Okay. No, I was just piggybacking off of what you guys are saying.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
we weren't taught unconditional love, and that's something that most of us are learning right now. The love is very much conditional. It's conditional on what you believe, what your standing is, or whatever. And so, I hope we left you with thought-provoking questions tonight to start looking and examining yourself. Is this really love? Is this true love? How can I say I love this person and not speak to them? And it's not a personal choice. It is a choice that you have to follow by the religion. And by the way, some people have been threatened with disfellowshipping for still communicating with their disfellowship family members. They've been threatened with disfellowshipping. So it's very convoluted. Would you like to add anything, Delon?
Yeah, I like to say, I guess, we all know we have our rights, but, don't give them that right, if you will, to allow you to be a part of the shunning process, and or to mistreat, because it is, to me, I know maybe not in the court of law, but that is mistreating someone else. It's not loving. People do have feelings. And I just hope that by the clips that Gail played and by our discussion tonight, you'll be able to go do your own research and just think about it when you do read your scriptures, and you meditate on what you're taught there versus when you think about the image of God, how he really is. God is love. And that isn't, like Gail said, it's just not loving. It's not how you would treat you if you're a parent, and even if you're not, there's someone that you care about. Someone that you care about. And you think about someone telling you not to talk to that person, all because they choose to go and do some things that are not illegal. To me, what they do in their bedroom, that is their business. I'm not going to just stop talking to you because you are having sex outside of marriage. I'm not saying I'm going to condone it. All I'm saying is, but that's not going to make me lose my love for you. It's not going to make me mistreat you in no type of way. I'm not going to stop talking to you. If anything, I'm going to encourage you perhaps to do what I feel is right from the Bible, but I'm not going to stop talking to you and just throw you out there to be alone. If I think that, if you're doing it already, if I push you out there and you're by yourself, push you into the world. Sorry, you guys, my dog, something is outside and it is triggering her to go. But like, Christopher said, Chris, I can't remember exactly how you worded it. But don't, I'll just say, because I could say a lot. I'm telling you, my brain is going, I can say a lot. Take your right, keep your right. Don't give it to them. That's all I want to say. And take away some reflection tonight and just think about it and do your own research. And you can take that to prayer, but just do your own research and don't give them that right.
I remember I had an elder, you reminded me that an elder from another congregation who didn't know that I was not in anymore, he called me and he's like, well, you discipline your daughter, right? Yeah. Well, it's the same thing. And I said, I never gave her the silent treatment. And he went, huh, interesting. And so, you know, I love everybody conditionally. I accept people for who
That's
they
right.
are. And we love all of you. And
Yes, we do.
for joining us tonight. Let's keep spreading awareness and most importantly, sharing real unconditional love. And
Yes.
that's it. Thank you for joining us on After the Storm tonight. We hope you found the discussion very lively and informative. And we will see you in 2 weeks.
Yes, love you guys. See y'all next time.
Well, very good, Delon. Very good, Gail. Great program. Yeah, we had a lot of people listening in tonight. Sorry if you guys couldn't come in and comment. I see there was some left on the board. But we got a Pasta Babe coming up next. You can comment on her program. So we're going to end this broadcast here on YouTube, but don't go anywhere. Give us about 5 minutes, and we will be right back with the Pasta Babes program, Healing After the Watchtower. So stay with us. We're ending this